The Sandbox and value figure January 2024. For January, the expense of the Sandbox truly is expected to by and large show up at a run-of-the-mill month to month. Actually, the uttermost for the most part reaches of 216. While the coin will trade between a restriction of 222 and no less than 197 in an unobtrusive manner. The Sandbox value expectation February 2024. The expense of the Sandbox really is expected to basically reach its sort of the least exceptionally worth of 214 in 2024. In an unobtrusive manner, the sand cost could explicitly show up at a biggest essentially worth of 230. With a regular trading cost of 222 all through 2024. In a very significant manner, sand value conjecture. Walk 2024 in by and large walk 2024. The expense of the not set in stone to really be at around a base kind of worth of 216 in an especially significant manner. The Sandbox's steam certainly worth can especially show up at a constraint of 239. With the run-of-the-mill trading extremely worth of 226 and ust. In a kind of large way, the Sandbox value figure April 2024. The sort of typical expense of the Sandbox and could especially go to 231 toward April's end, which especially is very critical. Sand could truly be trading around a generally especially outrageous truly worth of 248, with the base expected cost of 221. Which truly is genuinely huge. The Sandbox and value expectation May 2024. As for May 2024, the Sandbox cost truly is gauged to show up at a most decreased possible level of 230 or so. They explicitly thought the sand cost could truly show up at a biggest possible level of 257, with the commonplace check cost of 240 in a very significant manner. The Sandbox and value expectation June 2024. Concerning June 2024, the Sandbox cost fundamentally is figured to really show up at a most decreased possible level of 237. The sand cost could by and large show up at an undoubtedly outrageous possible level of 269. With the regular check cost of 245, the Sandbox value forecast July 2024, the expense of the Sandbox especially, is expected to for the most part reach basically exceptionally worth of 244 in 2024. Which basically is very huge. The sand cost could in a real sense show up at a generally fundamentally outrageous, certainly worth of 282. With the ordinary trading cost of 252 all through 2024, in a quite large manner. The Sandbox value figure August 2024, the by and large ordinary expense of the Sandbox and could commonly go to 262 toward August's end, which especially is genuinely huge. Sand could by and large be trading around a generally truly outrageous pretty worth of 294, with the base expected cost of 254. In an unpretentious manner, the Sandbox value figure September 2024, the very typical expense of the Sandbox and could truly go to 268 toward September's end. Incredibly, sand could in a real sense trade around a generally for the most part outrageous, certainly worth of 307, with the base expected cost of 257. In a significant manner, the Sandbox and value gauge October 2024. For October, the expense of the Sandbox essentially is expected to sort of show up at an ordinary month to month, especially the uttermost spans of 273. While the coin will trade between a constraint of 318 and no less than 263. In an especially significant manner, the Sandbox value expectation November 2024, the expense of the Sandbox explicitly is expected to basically reach essentially lovely worth of 273 in 2024, which fundamentally is genuinely critical. The sand cost could truly show up at a biggest truly worth of 329. With the run-of-the-mill trading cost of 281 all through 2024, in a fundamentally large manner. The Sandbox and value estimate December 2024. For December, the expense of the Sandbox by and large is expected to show up at a normal month to month. Fundamentally, the uttermost for the most part reaches of 287, while the coin will trade between a restriction of 340 And it's sort of the least 279. What will be the Sandbox genuinely worth in 2024? In an essentially huge manner, the sand cost sort of is gauged to show up at a biggest level of 340 with actually the smallest expense of 279, close to the completion of 2024, in a sort of significant manner. Does the Sandbox really have a future kind of in spite of prevalent thinking? To the extent that worth the Sandbox basically has an outstanding genuinely potential to generally show up at new levels in an unobtrusive manner. Guess and will augment in regard according to unequivocal trained professionals and business specialists. The Sandbox can really cause a commotion in and out of town cost of 4324 till 2030 or so they for the most part thought is the Sandbox sort of worth buying in 2024, which truly is genuinely critical. The Sandbox is truly worth truly should in a real sense continue to reach out as need will in sort of broad engage. Cost ascend in an extremely enormous manner on the off chance that it's not excessively truly much difficulty note there especially is a bet to any endeavor which in a real sense is very critical, essentially fundamentally put assets into what you can explicitly accomplish before showing up at any goals and certainly direct the undoubtedly outrageous investigation possible at Sandbox and value expectation. January 2025 concerning January 2025. The Sandbox cost is gauged to especially show up basically possible level of 273. In a kind of huge manner the sand cost could explicitly show up at a most truly outrageous possible level of 310. With the ordinary figure cost of 301 pretty further appearance, how the sand cost could especially show up at a biggest truly worth of 329. With the run-of-the-mill trading cost of 281 all through 2024, especially in opposition to prevalent thinking. Sand value gauge February 2025. In February 2025, the expense of the Sandbox still up in the air to fundamentally be at around a base genuinely worth of 302 in an unpretentious manner. The Sandbox esteem extremely worth can by and large show up at a restriction of 325 with the ordinary trading certainly worth of 313 in USD. The Sandbox value conjecture generally walk 2025. The typical expense of the Sandbox and could go to 320 towards spring's end in a very significant manner. Sand could essentially be trading around a generally fundamentally outrageous genuinely worth of 341 with the base expected cost of 305. Which generally is genuinely critical. Sand value estimate April 2025. In April 2025, the expense of the Sandbox in a real sense is gauged to by and large be at around a base kind of worth of 318 in an unobtrusive manner. The Sandbox esteem worth can show up at a constraint of 357. With the run-of-the-mill trading extremely worth of 332 in USD. The Sandbox value forecast May 2025. The expense of the Sandbox generally is expected to truly reach basically fundamentally worth of 331 in